Rhythm and blues behind bars. The intertwined narratives of hip-hop and mass incarceration. The rhythmic pulse of hip-hop reverberates with the stories of marginalized communities. Born in the Bronx, this genre became a voice for the unheard. Yet, its rise coincided with another phenomenon, mass incarceration. This essay delves into the intricate relationship between hip-hop culture and the exponential growth of the American prison system. In 2020, NPR launched a groundbreaking podcast, Louder Than a Riot. This series, spearheaded by Rodney Carmichael and Sidney Madden, set out to explore the interconnectedness of hip-hop and mass incarceration.
Carmichael, a seasoned music journalist, and Madden, a hip-hop aficionado and producer, brought their unique perspectives to this critical examination. Their goal to amplify the voices often silenced within the criminal justice system.
Louder Than a Riot goes beyond the headlines and sensationalized narratives often associated with hip-hop artists caught in the legal system. It delves into the systemic issues that contribute to the over-policing and mass incarceration of Black and brown communities. The podcast challenges listeners to confront uncomfortable truths about race, class, and justice in America.
Each episode meticulously weaves together personal stories, expert analysis, and historical context. Carmichael and Madden's insightful commentary guides listeners through complex legal cases, shedding light on the flaws within the justice system. They interview artists who have been directly impacted by mass incarceration, giving them a platform to share their experiences and perspectives. Louder Than a Riot is more than just a podcast. It's a movement. It sparks conversations about criminal justice reform, challenging listeners to question their own biases and assumptions. By centering the voices of those most affected by mass incarceration, the podcast humanizes the issue and inspires action. Louder Than a Riot utilizes music as a powerful tool for social commentary. The podcast recognizes that hip-hop, at its core, is a form of storytelling. Through their lyrics, artists reflect the realities of their communities, giving voice to the joys, struggles, and injustices they experience. The podcast analyzes these lyrical narratives, revealing deeper truths about the systemic issues at play. By dissecting the lyrics of artists like Tupac Shakur, NWA, and Lauryn Hill, the podcast exposes the raw emotions and lived experiences embedded within the music. These artists' words serve as primary sources, offering unfiltered glimpses into the realities of poverty, police brutality, and racial profiling. Their music becomes a lens through which listeners can understand the social and political climates that shaped their narratives. Louder Than a Riot also examines how the music industry itself has contributed to the criminalization of hip-hop. The podcast explores the ways in which record labels have profited from the gangsta rap image, often exploiting artists from marginalized backgrounds. This exploitation reinforces negative stereotypes and contributes to the perception of hip-hop as a genre inherently linked to criminality. Through its analysis of music and the industry surrounding it, Louder Than a Riot dismantles the simplistic narratives that often dominate discussions about hip-hop and crime. The podcast encourages listeners to engage with the music on a deeper level, recognizing its power to illuminate systemic issues and inspire social change. Section 4. Voices from the Streets and Academia, a chorus of perspectives. One of the strengths of Louder Than a Riot lies in its diverse range of voices. The podcast doesn't just rely on the perspectives of artists, it brings in a chorus of experts, scholars, and community members to provide a comprehensive understanding of the issues at hand. This multifaceted approach ensures that the narrative is nuanced and informed by a variety of experiences. Historians and legal scholars provide crucial context, tracing the historical roots of mass incarceration and its disproportionate impact on communities of color. They explain how policies like the war on drugs were implemented in ways that specifically targeted Black and brown communities, leading to the mass imprisonment of generations. The podcast also features interviews with formerly incarcerated individuals who share their first-hand accounts of the injustices within the system. Their stories humanize the statistics, putting a face to the often overlooked human cost of mass incarceration. These personal narratives are raw, powerful and essential to understanding the lasting impacts of these policies. By weaving together these diverse perspectives, Louder Than a Riot creates a rich tapestry of voices that challenge listeners to confront their own biases and assumptions. The podcast highlights the importance of listening to and amplifying the voices of those most affected by the issues being discussed. Section 5. The Unjust Melody of McPhipps, a Case Study. Louder Than a Riot dedicates multiple episodes to the compelling and tragic case of McPhipps, a New Orleans rapper sentenced to 30 years in prison for a crime he maintains he did not commit. Phipps's story exemplifies the podcast's central themes, highlighting the ways in which the justice system can be manipulated to silence and punish Black men, particularly those within the hip-hop community.
I was a rising star in the New Orleans rap scene, and then, in 2000, I was arrested for a shooting that occurred at a nightclub. Despite a lack of physical evidence and conflicting witness testimonies, I was convicted by an all-white jury. The prosecution relied heavily on my lyrics and stage persona, painting me as a violent individual prone to criminal activity.
Louder Than a Riot meticulously dissects the flaws in Phipps's case, exposing prosecutorial misconduct, unreliable witnesses, and the prejudicial use of his music against him. The podcast features interviews with Phipps himself, his family members, legal experts, and community activists who have rallied for his release. Phipps's story is not an isolated incident. It reflects a larger pattern within the criminal justice system, where Black men are disproportionately targeted and their artistic expressions are used as evidence of guilt. Louder Than a Riot uses Phipps's case as a springboard to discuss the larger issues of racial bias, prosecutorial misconduct, and the need for criminal justice reform. Section 6. Echoes of Louder Than a Riot Impact and Reception. Louder Than a Riot has reverberated far beyond the realm of music podcasts. Its impact can be felt in academic circles, courtrooms, and living rooms across the country. The podcast has sparked crucial conversations about race, class, and justice, challenging listeners to confront uncomfortable truths about the American justice system. The podcast has been lauded by critics and audiences alike for its meticulous reporting, insightful commentary, and powerful storytelling. It has been recognized with numerous awards and accolades, including a Peabody Award for its excellence in podcasting. Louder Than a Riot has also had a tangible impact on the lives of individuals featured in the podcast. The attention brought to cases like McPhipps has helped to amplify calls for his release and shed light on the injustices he has faced. The podcast has also inspired listeners to get involved in criminal justice reform efforts, advocating for policy changes, and supporting organizations working to address these issues. The podcast's impact extends beyond its listenership. It has become a valuable resource for educators, journalists, and activists seeking to deepen their understanding of the interconnectedness of hip-hop and mass incarceration. Its episodes are frequently taught in college courses, and its insights have been cited in legal briefs and scholarly articles. Section 7. Embracing Diverse Narratives, NPR and the Power of Storytelling. Louder Than a Riot is a testament to the power of diverse storytelling and the importance of platforms like NPR embracing these narratives. By providing a platform for Carmichael and Madden to explore these complex issues, NPR has demonstrated its commitment to amplifying marginalized voices and engaging with critical social justice issues. The podcast's success highlights the need for more media organizations to invest in diverse voices and perspectives. When we allow marginalized communities to tell their own stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the world around us. These stories have the power to challenge our assumptions, broaden our perspectives, and inspire us to create a more just and equitable society. NPR's decision to produce and distribute Louder Than a Riot is a step in the right direction. It signals a willingness to engage with difficult conversations and to use its platform to amplify voices that have been historically silenced. This commitment to diverse storytelling is essential for fostering empathy, understanding, and ultimately, social change. By embracing narratives like those featured in Louder Than a Riot, media organizations have the power to educate, inform, and inspire audiences to create a more just and equitable world. These stories matter, and it is our responsibility to listen, learn, and act upon them.